What's going on, everybody? It is the first day after football is officially back in America. How's everybody doing today? This is the AJA Sports Show coming to you live on this beautiful Friday. Hope you guys are all doing well. I am joined, as always, with Jay here. We are missing Ace once again, but don't worry, guys. You guys will see him on Sunday for the Sunday morning roast, the first one of the NFL regular season. And we're just can't be more excited. I know I keep saying it. Jay can't be more excited. Hey, Jay, how you feeling after the first regular season game?
I mean, it was a fun game. Super entertaining. I mean, good Lord. They threw the ball about 90 times. So, you're into air raid. You got that yesterday. You saw a good finish. You saw two quarterbacks doing it out. Defenses that couldn't stop anyone. So, I think it was what everyone wanted on a Thursday night. Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady with a game-winning drive. I mean, it's a tradition unlike any other. I mean, right?
22 years now in the making that we've seen Tom Brady just consistently do this and be able to win, and to not to be taken down no matter how late the circumstances may be. They left a timeout and about $1:24 on the clock, and once again, Brady, even at the ripe age of 44, proved that that's just enough time for him to get down the field and for him and the refs to secure a field goal opportunity. Anyway.
I mean, so was it right? I mean, honestly, did you think it was? I mean,
it's by the letter. Is it offensive pass interference? I don't know. It's close. It's close. I think what really takes it away for it not being offensive pass interference, and we'll get into the game right now more. Is they had hands on each other. I don't know, and it's such a late time in the game. I wouldn't have expected the call to come. Had it come, I would have been like, okay, that's not a bad call. But anyway, let's bring up the score real fast.
Those back shoulder throws, man. There's always so much contact because I mean, it's a little awkward for the receiver. I mean, their body is taking them full speed one way, and on a dime, they're turning their entire body to reach back. I mean, if you're in good position defensively, a lot of times it can be. Oh, Ryan says it was PI. Ryan says no doubt it was PI. Now, Ryan, do you think it was PI just because it was Tom? Like if that's CeeDee Lamb and Dak, right? I mean, that's clean and we're good with it, or is it because it was Tom? Because I have a feeling, maybe not for you, but a lot of the people who are talking about it now are Dallas fans. You want Dallas to win, obviously, and the pundits who don't want to see Tom Brady win anymore. By the way, I mean, we're talking about it. It's literally the first topic. Is he 44 or 24? He's unbelievable. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean,
well, this is the football feast episode. So let's bring on the appetizers. And the first appetizer on deck is that score line. The game finished 31-29. Obviously, like I said, the Cowboys took the lead with about 1:24 seconds to go off of a Greg Zuerlein. I believe it was a 51-yard field goal. 49. I apologize. It was a 49-yard field goal, just short of 50. Ryan says it was a clear push-off and should have been called either way. I don't know if it was clear. It's just one of those. But
yeah, no, but I mean, you can see it. He definitely extends. I mean, it's these pass interference calls are so subjective. I mean, what's worse? Okay, so we can't even get into it because I'm just going to keep asking questions. But what's worse? Do you think? What do you think is a more subjective call in the NFL? Pass interference or the catch rule?
I think the catch rule has had maybe more problems, and because I don't know. I would have said the catch rule because of the whole Des Bryant situation, but because of the Nickel Roby-Coleman situation that happened in the Saints and Rams game back in 2018, I don't know because that was unbelievable. That was unequivocally pass interference, and that allowed the Rams to advance off of funny enough, Greg Zuerlein's also late game field goal in overtime to go play the Patriots in that 2018 Super Bowl. So I don't know. I think they both kind of shown their negative effects and repercussions, I guess, if you will, in big moments. So it's hard to kind of pin one.
I think it's pass interference. Like subjectively, it's a lot more practical to say, oh, the ball hit the floor. Like that's not a catch. But I think they're both something that the NFL has struggled with getting a clear verdict on. But I think pass interference is the most subjective because really, I mean, once it's called, there's very, very little. I mean, it's got to be clear and obvious for them to overturn pass interference or to say pass interference occurred on a play it didn't. So, I think pass interference, but yeah, I mean, I could see why Ryan thinks it was pass interference. I really do.
All right, give us another. We got another one of yours, but would rather have a no call. I think by the end of the season, we'll be saying taunting is the most subjective call. So I think we did see one taunting penalty yesterday. I'm pretty sure. It might have been early. I think it was pretty early on. We saw. It was a player on the BUCS. It was a player on the BUCS who was. It was one of their offensive linemen. He got into a bit of a scuffle with the defensive lineman. Yeah. Ryan Jensen.
I think that was more of like verbal, though. I don't know what he said, but like going back, they showed the replay. Now that you mention it, jogged the memory. He didn't do anything like touch or throw up a sign or anything like that. Like he literally well, first of all, he got punched in the face. Like I'm surprised that wasn't called for. He got smacked right in the face. By the way, never understood that. Stupidest thing in the world. Played football. You know, I only played high school. I played college for 1 year at a Division III school, but never understood that. Like. The dude's wearing a helmet. You swing at their face. It's the most guarded part of their body in football. Like literally, there's a whole face mask and everything covered. I mean, oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. You better have Bucky's arm if you're trying to sock someone with a dang helmet on. I mean, good Lord.
Hey, they'll attempt it even though they don't. But
clearly, as we saw yesterday, break a hand. I mean, good Lord. You imagine coming out the field and be like, Coach, hands busted. I'm out. You break your hand. You're out for like 6 to 8 weeks. You go back. You look at the film. It's because you socked the face mask. I swear to God, I'd lose it.
Yeah, I don't think the coach would be too happy with that one. As you mentioned, though, before we started the appetizers segment, a lot of footballs were thrown yesterday. Dak threw 58 times. Brady threw just over 40. Dak got past the 400-yard mark, about 403 yards. Brady just under at like 379. So both quarterbacks played particularly well. There was a slew of turnovers that really turned the tide of the game, and kind of you were mentioning it last night that, and I'm sure you're going to get into it right now because you have a good amount of notes from what you saw last night, Jay, and I'll let you go. The turnovers, kind of like from the BUCS, and also like the poor defensive play, I guess you could say, from the Cowboys. You wouldn't have been surprised if either team were blowing either team out at some point. Like, and the fact that it was a close game made for it to be pretty exciting, but. I mean, there were opportunities for both teams to absolutely blow it open, and nobody really could. And it left it late, which made it exciting for us from a fan perspective. So I'm cool with that. Like we said in the beginning, Tom, he always finds a way. But what were your biggest takeaways from last night, Jay, from the first night of football?
No, definitely. Yeah. 100%. I mean, the two quarterbacks threw the ball over 100 times, which is unbelievable, especially to start the season. We had so many questions coming in about Dak. I mean, he hasn't played football in 11 months, coming off the ankle surgery, didn't practice. His preseason was very limited considering the shoulder issues. Everyone likes to make fun of him for his warm-up routines. They're kind of hilarious if you haven't seen them. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great. He's like a pitcher. He warms up like a pitcher. That's what they were talking about. They were saying, like, they went to, like, professional pitchers and, like, saw how they were warming up to get the shoulder ready to go. Looking back on it a little bit more now and going over some of the notes that I took and, some of the gameplay, Tampa Bay should have smoked this Dallas Cowboy team. When Bruce Arians talked about it, moral victories are good for teams that aren't expected to win. When you're the Dallas Cowboys, you're expected to win. And I think there are just way too many Dallas Cowboy fans, and the Dallas Cowboys in general are kind of taking this as like a moral victory. Bruce Arians was legit pissed with his team. I mean, they had the score was tied it was 14-13 because Greg the Leg missed the point after, and then Tampa Bay went ahead and turned the ball over on two straight possessions. They were up by a point, and on two possessions, the first play, Ronald Jones fumbles, and then he goes in the doghouse. I don't know what Ronald Jones did to Bruce Arians. He slept with his daughter or something. That dude fumbles one time, it's over. He is on the bed. He's on the pine the rest of the game. Like, they are just done with it. He fumbled, but DeMarcus Lawrence made an unbelievable play. I mean, shedded the offense, shedded Collins, threw him over like a rag doll, and just Peter Tillman punched that bad boy right out of there. Great defensive play. And then Leonard Fournette sees the football go right off his face mask, a la Darrell Williams in the freaking Super Bowl, and lands right into Dallas's hands. I definitely think that Tampa Bay should have blown this game out. I think Dallas did a lot of good things. I think there were a lot of bad things, though. So if we're going to talk about the good, right? Dak Prescott, I mean, he looked amazing. 58 passes, 42 of 58, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Oh, whew, that interception was terrible. I know people want to talk about CeeDee Lamb not catching that football. between three guys. You're between three guys getting sandwiched. That was not a good decision. Don't care what you got to tell me about it. Now, Tom Brady's 2 picks, I'll get into those. Those were, who cares? One was a Hail Mary, and like I just said, one hit off of Lenny's face mask. So, yeah, Dak looked really good. I really like the game plan that Dallas came in with. I think they should have done a little bit more to get Zeke some more touches. I get it. This Tampa Bay defense is unbelievable, especially up front, especially in the run game. When you look at their rush defense last year, again, this is a Tampa team that's bringing back all 22 of their starters on the offensive and defensive side of the football. Last year in 2020, they were first, allowing the lowest yards per game rushing-wise at 80.6. They were first in yards per carry, only allowing 3.6. They allowed the fewest rushing touchdowns in the league last year with only 10. And they only allowed 78 rushes for first downs last year, also first in the league. So, not feeding Zeke initially was something that I kind of understood and made sense with. Did a really good job with the short passing game, screen game, getting to the perimeter and attacking Tampa where their strength isn't, which is the front seven. And their secondary is a little lacking, especially after that early injury to Murphy Bunting. So made sense for me. Really liked the game plan. In the first, where Dallas came up short was in the red zone. In the first 3 quarters, they had 4 trips there. They scored a touchdown once, they scored a field goal once, and then 2 field goal misses, which is unfortunate. But again, that's where I think where we were talking about yesterday, where Dallas could have really took the game over and tried to kind of solidify it a little more was there. Unfortunately, they didn't do so.
Real quick, Jay, did you find it kind of odd that we didn't hear anything about like Greg Zuerlein's back injuries, but prior to the game, I don't know if you heard this too, but I guess prior to the game, he was talking to like an NBC reporter and was saying like, yeah, I don't know, this game's, I'm looking forward to the game. My back's hurting a little bit. We'll see how it holds up. Is that a little weird? Like, why didn't we hear about that?
I mean, we heard about it right before the game because that was like really the first time anyone cared to ask. I mean, the kicker. I mean, like I'm not trying to say kickers don't matter, but hey, he's a kicker. Like I mean, we're more worried about Dak Prescott's Dak Prescott's shoulder and how Zeke looks and everything. I mean, so, it's not always the first thing you go to. Hey, kicker back okay? If you don't hear anything about it, you don't really talk about it. So I highly doubt they were plastering it out there. Obviously, it came to fruition. I mean, he ended up, warming up and getting into it, hit the last 3, missed the point after, and then the 2 field goals. But, everyone on this Dallas team pretty much balled out except for Zeke, though. I mean, Amari Cooper had 13 catches, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb had 7 for 104 and a touchdown, 2 bad drops in the first quarter, though. That was interesting. He actually led the league in drops last year, just FYI. He had like 10 or something like that. So at first, I was like, oh, boy, it's a little bit of Deontay Johnson type stuff here. We're just going to drop balls all season, a continuation. But, he ended up holding on to a couple of good ones. And then the one that he dropped that ended up in a pick, I mean, not that I give a guy an excuse to drop a ball, but triple coverage, getting whammed, sandwich, Oreo'd, whatever term you want to use. Dallas's defense coming into the season was going to struggle by all accounts, and they look like they're going to struggle. I mean, that secondary is not good. The best defensive player is DeMarcus Lawrence, and I think he's actually pretty darn good, DeMarcus Lawrence. But, I mean, their secondary is not great. They started a 4th-round corner. For a rookie corner from the 4th round, got absolutely torched yesterday. And then at the end of the day, what really lost Dallas the game, in my opinion, was the field goal at the end of the game. You settle for a field goal there. You get, honestly, not that you get lucky, but you get bought out a little bit. Tampa Bay had the ball with 6:36 left. They were driving. I mean, they were ready to go. That's when they started. They wasted off about a good, maybe 4.5 minutes, and then the fumble by Chris Godwin gave Dallas the ball back. I mean, Tampa was driving. I had every indication that they were going to score a touchdown and put that game away, and then gave Dallas life. And then, Dallas obviously gets the field goal with 1:36 left, and everyone knew that game was over, that Tom Brady was going to win it after that. I mean, I even put in my notes right after it happened. I was like, this game's over. Tom Brady's going to get a field goal. I mean, it's death, taxes, Tom Brady to Gronk, and game-winning drives. I mean, that's what it is really nowadays. I mean, he's unbelievable. So I think Dallas, you saw what you wanted to see out of game 1 for both teams. Saw a lot of good, saw a lot of bad. Unfortunately, Bruce Arians talked about it after the game. You don't learn anything more from a close win than you do from a close loss. So win the damn game, and then you can talk about losing. You can talk about what you need to improve on after that. Obviously, Dallas doesn't know that yet because they've been losing games for the last 10 years. But I can get into Tampa, Andrew. But did you have that you want to talk about?
No, I mean, Dak Prescott performing well and being, the little mobility that he showed, to be able to move in and around the pocket to get throws off was it was just nice to see. I mean, obviously I've been very high on Dak. I have him poised to win Comeback Player of the Year. I think he's going to have a pretty monster season, possibly to make his way towards the NFL MVP discussion, depending on how he plays, and especially given the group of wide receivers. Michael Gallup did pick up an injury. I wanted to mention that he was diagnosed with a calf strain, and then actually more bad news for the Cowboys offensive line. This dropped like right before we went live. Lyle Collins is actually suspended for the next 5 games. I don't know what it's for just yet because again it dropped right before. Jay, you have it?
I got it. Yeah. So he violated the substance abuse policy. But not for what you think. He didn't have a positive test. He just didn't test. Apparently, they were like, you need to show up for testing. He decided he just wasn't going to show up like multiple times. So they suspended him 5 games.
Oh, that's irresponsible. So, well,
I mean, you would think it's like a failed test or something. No, just didn't go. Just had an appointment, busy, couldn't make it. You know what I'm saying? NFL player, too big. I mean, come on, dude.
He had a thing to get to. I don't know. He had a thing.
Good Lord, dude. I mean, last night, all we heard was, this offensive line. They got the tackles back. Tyron Smith didn't play last year. Collins didn't play last year. Zach Martin was supposed to play. He's apparently their best offensive player, if you ask Jerry Jones and Zeke. And he's got COVID. Now La'el Collins is out for 5 games. Dallas gonna Dallas, baby.
Yeah, Tyron Smith, he's still good, but nowhere near what he was in the mid 2010s, unfortunately, for the Dallas Cowboys. So
he had a holding penalty yesterday. He had a holding penalty yesterday. I didn't think Tyron Smith knew what a holding penalty was. He never holds. Never. It was a clear, egregious hold.
But no, I saw what I wanted to see from Dallas. I think offensively we'll be able to keep him in games, but defensively it's going to leave a lot to be desired for. With Tampa, I mean, it's kind of what I expected, to be honest. I'll be kind of quick. Tom said that he's got an arm of like a 24-year-old. He's still got the arm he had back then. I got no reason to believe why he doesn't. I hate to say it, and it's really annoying. But this guy is just of a different breed. He's cut from a different cloth. He's the apex predator of the NFL game, the NFL of NFL history, to be honest with you. And we're never going to know until it's over, until the actual day that it is over. There's not going to be any sort of inclination. There's not going to be a rapid decline that everyone's waiting for. It's just going to be, if you can't go, then that's when we'll find out that day. But I mean, it's everything you could have expected. Antonio Brown balled out. Chris Godwin, minus the fumble, played really well. Mike Evans only with the 4 targets, 3 receptions. So I mean, how many mouths are you going to feed, right? It's like, you're going to, sometimes you're going to get them, sometimes you're not. So I don't think they're worried too much about that. But what else did you have from Tampa, Jay?
Yeah, well, I mean, Tom was unbelievable, as you mentioned, 32 of 50. And that 50 that he had, I mean, 3 of them, he just threw the ball out of bounds on the last drive because he was trying to make sure they kept the field goal. Literally, we talked about it during the game. I told you guys it was going to be down, set, go. If it's not a wide open touchdown, it's going right to the sideline. Coaches always say this, and it's funny because you hear it on the sideline a lot. You know who's never covered? The offensive coordinator. Throw it right at that mother lover if nothing's open, because that dude is never covered. That's one guy they're never trying to cover. He had the 2 picks, but 4 touchdowns, 379 yards, 32 of 50, which was really more like I was trying to say, 32 of like 45. Because, again, 1 was a Hail Mary, 1 hit off Lenny's face mask. AB, 5 for 121, a touchdown. Godwin, 9 for 105, a touchdown. Gronk, 8 for 90, 2 touchdowns. He was 8 of 9 when targeting Gronk. It's unbelievable. I mean, I think their completion percentage to one another is like 99% or something ridiculous. It's not, obviously, but it seems that way. So one thing a couple things that I noticed, right? Obviously, Tom Brady looks amazing and he looks young. The play where he threw the touchdown to Gronk from like the 11-yard line is a work of art. I mean, he literally saw the entire thing, saw that they were coming with pressure, knew that Gronk was going to be one-on-one with the D end once the linebacker came on the blitz. As soon as he saw the linebacker come on the blitz, well, he checked before that with Gronk and, delegated him to run a hot route. And if that linebacker came, then all Gronk's going to do is set and release upfield because he's a lot faster than DeMarcus Lawrence, who was guarding him at the time. That's what happens when you go cover 0. You have sometimes defensive ends guarding those tight ends, and Gronk ate him for lunch. It was unbelievable. So what I would say is I really hope that the Chiefs were watching that game because they did. Dallas really did a good job of laying out a blueprint for beating this team. I mean, it's really attacking them on the edges, quick screen game, extensions of the run, getting playmakers out in space against that, not as good secondary. The secondary is still very good. Don't get me wrong. It's still a good secondary. I mean, it's middle of the pack in the league, I would argue, but that's front seven is just so dang monstrous. You can do nothing against them. I thought Zeke, and maybe I was in the minority because I've seen a lot of people talking about it. I thought Zeke looked great yesterday. I mean, there were some times where he, when he was carrying the ball, he's getting tackled with half a yard. He's not even half a yard up the field, and he's already getting contact made. But Zeke was unbelievable yesterday. I mean, he had 5 or 6 amazing blitz pickups. That's the one thing that I've never understood, and it doesn't get talked about enough with Ezekiel Elliott, and why I'm such a big fan of him as a running back. Running backs are very much put into a box. This guy runs, this guy passes. Zeke can play all 3 downs. He can run, he can catch, he can block. I mean, we were just talking about Derrick Henry the other day. He's huge, and you can't even rely on him to block. Ezekiel Elliott yesterday had 2 or 3 times where Levante David in the hole, he's making these stops. I mean, these are going to be sure on sacks or QB pressures, and Zeke is stepping up, taking it right in the beak and allowing Dak Prescott to make throws down the field that would not have been available to him if Zeke had not made those huge blocks. So I just think that Zeke looked really well, looked really good. And again, I hope the Chiefs are watching. I know they probably were. Andy Reid's unbelievable. And one last thing I'll say, because I've talked for 20 darn minutes about this already. Dallas used so much motion. Pre-snap motion. I mean, and I think this is a trend you're going to start seeing in the NFL. A lot of people are starting to see, hey, those guys in Kansas City, they kind of know what they're doing. I mean, the Chiefs very rarely do we ever come out, line up, and just run something. Someone's moving at all times. It just helps out your quarterback. Hey, it just gives you more information. So I never understood why people are like, it's window dressing. They're just doing it to look fancy. It's window dressing. Yeah, why do you think they're doing it? It's going to tell you something. If I motion my 2 receiver from the right side to the left and someone follows, they're probably man-to-man. If no one follows and they bump, they probably are in zone. I mean, it just does so much more for you. But the novice fan is always like, it's just window dressing. They're trying to look fancy. Okay, well, we'll keep winning 14 games a year and we'll see you in the Super Bowl, okay?
Yeah, definitely an interesting note there from Dallas's offense. One particular thing I noticed too, just last thing, and we'll move on because we got a couple of things to talk about. The BUCS actually in one of those pickups from Zeke, that one of those blocking pickups that Devin White got a free release on. They actually lined up Jason Pierre-Paul and Devin White in the A gap, which is basically either side of the center for those people who don't know. At the same time, and the Cowboys, guards were just like, okay, we're going to pick up the other guys. And, it was just basically David and Pierre-Paul, and Zeke just slid right over. He recognized it and picked up the block, and it led to a Dallas completion. So yeah, I saw a couple of people saying that Zeke didn't play well, that he's lost a step, but watch the game. Stats are, I have Zeke on my fantasy team, and I was fully okay playing him beyond the off chance that he was going to get a touchdown at some point. But Zeke is Zeke. He's unbelievable. He falls forward all the time. I tell Johnny all the time when I'm watching that his ability to just always fall forward and to never be pushed back is, I've never seen it with a running back. He's the only running back I've ever seen fall forward all the time. It's crazy.
No, absolutely. I 100% agree. And I mean, there are smart people that are saying this too. Like, I'm a huge fan of Evan Silva and of Adam Levitan on Established to Run. Both of them were not very impressed with Zeke's outing. I mean, again, I very much was. I mean, it wasn't like he was out there balling or anything, but he only got 10 carries. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. You and I just kind of talking after the game. They're more creative getting Tony Pollard the ball than they are getting Zeke. Can we run some of the stuff where we're getting Tony Pollard on the edge for Zeke? I mean, good Lord. I mean, it's when it's Zeke, it's power run, and that's pretty much it. They're doing very little in terms of creativity to try to allow him to get in some space and do something, man. So, I mean, I was just, again, right, if you're in a fantasy league and for some reason, someone's down on Zeke, God, go get him, dude. This is going to be the hardest matchup of the year for him, missing his all-pro, arguably one of the top 3 guards in the league, Zach Martin, to COVID. I mean, obviously now La'el Collins gone, and that's not great, but Zach Collins is one of the best players and one of the best offensive linemen in the league. So I mean, by all means, I think if I think Zeke had a pretty good game. I don't think it was a great game or anything like that, but given the circumstances, I mean, you only had so many opportunities. I mean, Dak Prescott threw the ball over 50 times. Or 50 times he threw the ball.
He was closer to 60 attempts than he was to 50. 58 attempts, yeah.
58 attempts. I mean, what?
Only 10 touches. It's kind of hard against that Bucks defense. So I'm not going to read too much into it, especially because the Cowboys don't face a playoff caliber team or a playoff team from 2020 until week 11 when they play the Chiefs. But anyway, that's enough of the Thursday night game. Sticking with the running backs though. See, I don't think Zeke will have problems. I just gotta be sure about that. Sticking with the running backs though. Where art thou Ravens running backs? What happened to the Ravens running backs? They've just kind of hit the absolute. They've just had like the worst luck you could possibly have in one single room or position group, you want to call it, that you could possibly have in a single offseason. I mean, just going through it right now with the news that came out yesterday, within the span of 2 weeks, the Ravens lost J.K. Dobbins, who was their starter, Gus Edwards, who was also a 1,000-yard rusher last year, their starting corner, Marcus Peters, and their third-string running back, Justice Hill, all to season-ending injuries. And also, if it matters, their backup tight end, Nick Boyle, was just listed out for Sunday night opener and could be placed on IR for at least 3 weeks. To make things even worse, he's not even a running back, but Rashad Bateman was also put on IR and will miss a minimum of 3 weeks with a groin injury in the preseason. So we picked the Ravens to win the AFC North. I think most of that is because of Lamar Jackson and because of John Harbaugh and a little bit because of the defense. The running game is obviously where they make their bread and butter. I still think they have a chance to win the division. I'm a little, I don't feel great about it right now, but they did bring in Le'Veon Bell, who was last with the Chiefs last season as reinforcements. The duties are going to fall to Tyus Williams first, though, until Le'Veon Bell is healthy and up to speed, and if he is even effective. And they also signed running back Latavius Murray, who was just recently released by the Saints, and this morning signed Devontae Freeman, who was a former Pro Bowler in Atlanta, to their practice squad. So they're bringing reinforcements. They're trying to, do whatever they can to replace that group. But losing that many people in that short of time is just, I mean, how do you even begin to think to come back from that? And can they come back from that? Because I think they can still, be a playoff team and win a lot of games because obviously Lamar Jackson and quarterbacks and their value, show it obviously every week in and week out. So I still think they can be a viable team. But do you think this takes them out of contention at any point to make the playoffs, or even, where do you see them going from here, Jay?
I mean, I think this could put them in a predicament to win the division, but I think they're still a playoff team. Lamar Jackson is an MVP candidate every year from now on until I see differently. He's unbelievable. And that defense is strong. I mean, obviously using Marcus Peters is not great. They did lose some pieces on the defensive line, but added a few as well. Was really excited about them adding Bateman through the draft. Obviously, he'll be out a few weeks. Something in the water over there in Baltimore, man. Holy Toledo. We need to get someone out there to go change the aura, get some of our Arabness over there, get a little hallelujah, and get someone over there freaking trying to bless them because good Lord, man, I feel
Where's
bad.
Kyrie with his sage?
Yeah, where's come over here and just detox the entire locker room in the training area, dude. I mean, good Lord. Okay, so then this is another Latavius Murray, I think, is going to be the guy who can benefit the most from this. I think he's the one that looks the most spry. You saw him in New Orleans. I mean, he was taking touches away from Alvin Kamara. And, I mean, I didn't even agree with him taking touches away from Alvin Kamara. But if he's taking him away from Alvin Kamara, I'm sure he can take him away from Le'Veon Bell and Devontae Freeman. So, obviously, probably not right away. I think he was signed just early this morning. So, it's going to take a little bit to get him acclimated. One thing I saw was people talking about Lamar Jackson running more. I can guarantee you that is not in the Baltimore Ravens' plans. That dude runs more than anyone, pretty much. Him and Kyler Murray run the ball like crazy. I can guarantee you the Baltimore Ravens aren't saying, okay, here we go. We got an extended season now with an extra game. We lost 3 running backs. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to run Lamar more. No, don't think so. Not really making sense to me. So don't see that happening. I still think this is a team that's going to have something to say when it comes to the AFC standings. I only had them winning the division by a game against Cleveland anyway. I still would have them winning the division because something about Cleveland, man, I'm never fully bought in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Even last year, I'm saying we're doing the thing. Everyone's rolling, running the ball. No, not buying it. So I think Cleveland's gonna be very good too. But I just think Baltimore, for some reason, has their number. They're kind of like the little brother until Cleveland overtakes Baltimore/Pittsburgh. I mean, they obviously overtook Pittsburgh last year, but Baltimore and Pittsburgh have been the top dogs in that division for as long as we can remember. They've been the two, big ones to reckon with. So yeah, very unfortunate. Sucks. I know people aren't big fans of Marcus Peters. I know a lot of people don't like him and his aura and stuff, but I think Marcus Peters is a great football player, and it's unfortunate that he's not going to be there. So yeah, it just kind of sucks for the Ravens. I can't really say anything else besides that.
Definitely. It's going to be a tough hill for them to climb. We just real quick on Cleveland, just because you brought it up. A lot of people are, and I'm not just saying this because we're, we've made it known in this program that we're Chiefs fans. But a lot of people are trying to say that the Browns are gonna, are ready to make that next step. I'm not buying it 100% yet. I had the Ravens winning on tiebreaker. They're gonna finish with, I feel like they're gonna finish with the same record. Just like keep in mind when we're talking about like how they performed against the Chiefs last year, the Chiefs were up 22-3 before Patrick Mahomes had an injury that put him out the rest of the game. Then Chad Henne took over. And then Daniel Sorensen, one of the starting safeties, also was left that game a little early. So it changed the tide a little bit of that game. And, obviously context plays a big role. Did they look impressive? Yeah. Is the addition of Jadeveon Clowney maybe going to help Myles Garrett on the other side? Sure. We're going to have to wait and see though with Jadeveon Clowney, because he hasn't been effective anywhere, to be honest with you. He hasn't had double-digit sack season, so maybe being a Myles Garrett to help him out. But I'm going to stick with the AFC North here, Jay, if that's okay with you, because another defensive player, another defensive end, TJ Watt, who's actually a linebacker, just got his payday. Huge payday. They were able to get it done before the league year started. We talked about it on the last show.
I love the TJ payday.
Oh, you like that? Yeah, yes, sir. Not bad. TJ Watt, the Watt family is going to have a plentiful and bountiful Christmas season, I'm pretty sure. So I'd love to be a part of that family for that. He signed a 4-year, $112 million extension with $80 million guaranteed. And we were speculating, trying to figure it out, Jay. We were wondering if maybe like how the guarantee was going to work, because the guarantees in Pittsburgh work a little differently. They are paid out as signing bonuses for the most part. So, if TJ Watt just stumbled into an $80 million bag, a week before the NFL season, I think he'd be feeling pretty good, and he's a prime candidate to win Defensive Player of the Year. He didn't want to stay. He didn't want to leave Pittsburgh. He apparently, and I don't know if this is true, I need to gather some more information on it, but I heard this morning that he left some money on the table. You were telling me to stay in Pittsburgh. I don't know how much he could have left by getting, like a $30 million annual average value, but TJ Watt staying in Pittsburgh for the foreseeable future, at least for the next 4 years, with a humongous payday. So.
He's one of the best edge rushers in the league. If you're one of the best edge rushers in the league, you're going to get paid. That's pretty much how this league goes. He was a top 10 player in the NFL, voted on by his peers. So it makes all the sense in the world. Ben Roethlisberger was the one who mentioned that he took a pay cut, so that way TJ Watt can get paid. I don't think TJ Watt took a pay cut. If he did, good Lord, what a pay cut. That's a lot of money.
Someone said he left money on the table, like he could have gotten more, but yeah, like he could have gotten more elsewhere, I guess. But I don't really. That's a lot of money.
Interesting. Yeah. No. So with the Pittsburgh Steelers is they don't do like roster bonuses. It's not what they've done their entire organization's history. And that's why this deadline was so important, and getting the deal done was so important for both parties. So I'm just speculating. I'll go look up Joel, the guy. I don't remember his last name, but this guy Joel, he's from Sports Track. He does all the contract breakdowns. That's where I get all my info for him. And he'll break down, what guarantees are what and how they're all paid out. But there's a very good chance that TJ Watt could have just signed his name today and $80 million. Booyah. So, if anyone wants my signature, $80 million, write that.
Let me know where to sign. I'll sign
exactly.
Wherever,
I'll tell you someone who's pretty darn happy is Minka Fitzpatrick, because he's due up next, and we just saw Jamal Adams get paid. There's a chance that Tyrann Mathieu gets paid. So Minka Fitzpatrick could be next in line to be getting that payday from Pittsburgh. And if they're not paying Ben anymore, who knows how long that guy's going to be playing for? He says he's in good shape. Could have fooled me. All right. Anyway, we'll keep moving.
Yeah, good thing to bring up Minka Fitzpatrick too. If that extension does come, it would either have to come, tomorrow or tonight, or before the next season begins, because again they don't negotiate contracts during the regular season. But yeah, good for TJ Watt to get paid. I'm sure that he's not going to feel like the totally little brother now next to JJ with his career accomplishments and achievements. But last thing in our little news segment, so Cam Newton was released by the Patriots. We talked about this in the last program. He was on a podcast, and he was asked about the situation and why he was released, and he feels that he was released a little bit due to the fact that the Patriots didn't think that he would gel well in the locker room and that he would be almost a distraction to Mac Jones. Didn't ask to be released. He thought he imagined he'd stay in New England, and went on to say a couple of things. I think we have the video clip. Did you want to bring up that video clip real quick, Jay? We have a video from that podcast where he kind of gives a little bit of the details about what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think he was doing this interview with his dad, it looks like, and he posted it to his own YouTube channel. So we'll go ahead and play this for you.
Them playing music, man. If you put the reason why they released me is because indirectly I was gonna be a distraction.
without being the starter.
Without being a starter.
Yeah.
And this was
but
not
how?
going to come
verbally or in the locker room?
Just my aura.
Okay.
Just my aura. And that's just, and I told you this off camera. That's my gift and my curse.
Yeah.
When you bring a Cam Newton to your facility, when you bring a Cam Newton to your franchise, people are interested by mere fact
they
of
are intrigued.
Who is he?
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, so now I want to fast forward to where he talks about Mac Jones a little bit. So here's where he starts to talk a little bit about Mac Jones and the situation in New England with Mac Jones specifically.
Okay. You're going to be the second string to Mac.
Sorry.
Okay.
You're going to be the second string. We expect you to be everything and some to guide him throughout this tenure.
Okay.
I would say absolutely. Yeah.
Cam.
But listen.
Cam.
Listen. The truth of the matter is this. He would have been uncomfortable.
With you looking over his shoulder?
Yeah.
You felt like that?
Yeah, he would have. And they knew because you have to understand.
You are intimidating presence now.
That is true.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it makes sense. I mean, come on. I mean, I don't really know, dude. Like, what do you think? What do you think about this,
For a guy who hasn't, and you know, football isn't everything with Cam, obviously. First of all, where did he get that hat? I mean, he's got the hair.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk logistically, right? It's got to be cut, right? It's got to be top hat, scissors, cut, stick up, right?
Okay, I have a theory. Do you think the hat has fake hair on it to make it look like it's his hair sticking out?
No, we see his hair. We see his hair. Now, let me throw a theory at you, right? Let me throw a theory at you. Do you wear the hat and allow the hair to grow and push out of the hat? Like the hair, the momentum of the hair's growing. Hat on it or not, baby. It just punctured a hole right through the hat. Yeah. Right? Okay. I mean, look, dude, would he have been a distraction? Kind of. Would people have been questioning, hey, you know, Mac's not playing well this week. Do we maybe need to make a change? Probably. They do that a lot of places, especially with a rookie quarterback. I mean, it's what they do. So, I mean, good Lord, Jimmy Garoppolo's in San Francisco. He's winning 78% of his games when he starts, and they're already they drafted Trey Lance. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, is that kind of why they traded you? Why they released you? Yeah. Do I feel a little bad for Cam? Not really. I mean, it's kind of the way the NFL. Cam Newton has never been a prolific thrower of the football, never been a prolific distributor of the football. He's always he's always relied on his athleticism and running ability to get things done. He did mention, and again, he said it before, but are there 32 quarterbacks better than him in the league? Probably not. Are there 32 quarterbacks that are going to be less of a distraction, more facilitators, more locker room and team-oriented? Not that Cam hasn't been, because I think those last two, locker room and team-oriented, I don't think those have ever been a problem for Cam. But less of a distraction, less of questions asked. Sure. I can absolutely see that. So I like the self-awareness there from Cam, but you know, it's football. It kind of is what it is, you know, like it didn't work in Carolina. Once it didn't work in Carolina, we all kind of saw the writing on the wall that this was going to be coming eventually. And when Mac Jones was able to show in the preseason that, you know, the team can function, you know, at about the same way that they can with Cam Newton, I think, you know, again, as we mentioned before, the vaccination status didn't play a role, right? But he missed 5 games. He missed 5 days of camp, and then the preseason game came, and then a few days later he was released. So,
yeah, and for a guy who in the NFL hasn't since his MVP season back in 2015, he hasn't had a QBR over 50. It's hard to make a case for him to stay on a roster. I mean, I know stats aren't everything, and you know, it obviously how you can impact the team. But like you said, he hasn't thrown the ball well, and Bill needs somebody to throw the ball well. So I don't think Cam was the right fit in there, and I think moving forward with Mac Jones was the right move. We'll see if he landed another NFL team. I wouldn't be surprised if he just goes into TV, though. That might be his best option. But that was the news, guys. We'll have more, obviously, you know, Sunday before news kickoff comes. Right now, we're actually going to jump into a fairly new segment. Johnny is dabbling, I guess you could say, in betting lines, and he would like to share a couple with you that he actually likes, and a couple of reasons as to why he likes them. So we're going to take a look at 2 games and the different point spreads and the over-unders. He's going to give you some reasons why maybe you should look to bet this weekend on some NFL games if that's something you're interested in. That's going to be our main course, and I'm going to bring it up in just 1 second here. While I do that, guys, be sure to, I have it underneath here. And if you're looking for an easy way to support us on YouTube, just hit the bell, subscribe to us, like and comment if you can. Cam to Houston. I don't know if Cam's going to Houston there, Ryan. I heard a report that Dallas might be interested. I don't know exactly like how much weight is behind that. We'll have to wait and see. The season's still young though, so I'm sure we'll have a lot to like go off of as the season progresses. But here is the week 1 over unders. Trying to get this up real quick. My apologies.
Yeah, we're gonna start with the Broncos at Giants, right?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
All right, so here we go. We've got the Broncos taking on the Giants. This line, so the line is the point spread, how much they're so who's favored in the game. The Broncos are favored to win this game by 3 points, over under 41.5 point total. A couple notes real fast, and then Johnny's going to throw us a couple more. Denver last year, their defensive line ranked 10th, actually coming into the season, their defensive line is ranked 10th by PFF. And the Giants, their offensive line ranked last coming into this 2021 season per PFF, which is Pro Football Focus. So Jay, why do you like this game?
Yeah, so this is actually, if you guys don't know about Establish to Run is a fantasy and football analytics show and website. They have shows. They have different types of tools, articles, ownership projections. They're amazing. They're unbelievable. I've subscribed to them for the last 3 years, and they give great information. One of the articles that they do every week is Brandon Thorne's offensive line rankings and offensive and defensive line mismatches. This is actually the number 1 defensive line, offensive line mismatch here. And it makes sense. This is the lowest total going into the week, 41.5, ridiculously low. Both of these teams sport very good defenses. Specifically when you look at the Giants and that awful offensive line of theirs coming in, like Andrew mentioned, they're ranked last in Pro Football Focus offensive line rankings. Specifically when you look at the tackles, Andrew Thomas is the starting left tackle right now. He had a 62.4 overall grade in 2020. He had a 54.7 pass blocking grade, which was ranked 82nd out of 89 tackles. Not left tackles, he was a bottom 5% tackle in the league. Which is, in case anyone was wondering, not ideal, especially when you have Danny Dimes and he's a fumbling machine. Their O-line over the last 2 years has combined for the 5th worst PFF grade in those 2 seasons. And I mean, the big question here is Saquon healthy too? We don't even know if he's healthy. So we have a banged up offensive line, a running back that's coming off of a season-ending injury last year. They're saying that he's going to be ready to go. It sounds like he's going to be ready to go. How ready to go is he going to be, considering he hasn't taken a professional snap since? That we've seen this offense sputter. Last year, they were second to last in the league, only averaging 17.5 points per game. So some struggles, some big questions there on the offensive side of the ball. And then Denver, as if, you didn't want anyone else to start with in week 1. They have a lot of answers coming in. They have the 10th ranked defensive line, and that's really predicated on those 2 edge rushers, Bradley Chubb and Von Miller. They may have the best pair of edge rushers in the league going up against probably the worst tackle tandem in the league. So I like that personally. Denver is on the road. They are playing in New York, but I'm not really fazed by that. They're getting 3. I think this is something. I think Denver can win by 7, maybe even 10 here. They are starting Teddy Bridgewater now instead of the number 1 overall team cheek draft pick, Drew Lock. I've told Andrew and I've told Asa, I think this really comes down to Vic Fangio being tired of his offense losing games for him. Teddy Bridgewater's going to come in. He's going to be a game manager. He's going to throw the ball to the guy who's open. Go figure. He's going to hopefully throw it accurately. When you look at Denver's roster, they have a lot of playmakers out there. On the wide receiver front, at least they got Cortland Sutton. Now they got Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant at the tight end position. I mean, even guys like KJ Hamler can make stuff happen in the backfield with Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. They have a lot of players out there. So, I just see this line at -3. It's kind of moved a little bit and gave Denver an extra point here. I think you could have got it at -2 in the beginning of the week. And then as if Denver being really good. So then you look at the Giants, right? You're like, oh, well, Johnny, they have a ton of playmakers. I mean, look at their wide receiving core. They have 3-4 starting wide receivers. They're going up against the number 1 ranked secondary in PFF in Denver. Denver has legitimately 4 starting cornerbacks with Kyle Fuller, Ronald Darby, Bryce Callahan, and a top 10 pick in Patrick Surtain. Not to mention that not only do they have possibly the best edge passing duo, they very well may have the best safety duo with Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons. So I see the Giants struggling here. I think they maybe score 10 to 13 points. And I could be totally wrong, but I think this -3 line for Denver, a team that I'm a little higher on than most, I have them going at about 500 this season. I think this is a line that I can get behind. Not my most exciting line of the week. That is my next one, but this is one that I think you can take a shot on, and I think I might take a shot on here too. Again, would have liked it at -2 in the beginning of the week, but now sitting at -3, I still think there's some juice here left to squeeze.
Yeah, Denver is almost coming in as like a heavy favorite if you look at it from as an away team perspective going to New York. Normally a home team gets like a nice little 3 spot on a line, and then it kind of moves from there. Denver already at -3, so should be an interesting game. Might turn into an ugly one considering all the things you said about the defensive line. And games in the NFL are one in the trenches. Whoever's going to be better up front on both sides of the ball. So this could be one that gets out of hand for the Giants. Hopefully Danny Dimes stays upright. But let's move on to the next game that we're looking at here. So we got the Minnesota Vikings going to the Cincinnati Bengals. And once again, we have another away team being favored here by a 3-point margin. Over-under's a little bit higher here at 47 as opposed to 41.5. Minnesota, the Vikings defense is bringing back Danielle Hunter, who was the fastest player in NFL history to 50 sacks, and Everson Griffin, who spent some time away from the team for personal reasons and a stint in Dallas. They added Sheldon Richardson, Patrick Peterson, Dalvin Tomlinson, Alexander, and Bashad Breeland in the offseason. So veteran players who can help this defense out. And Cincinnati, their old field day with this one because he's been begging off Cincinnati. He was basically begging Cincinnati and Zach Taylor to take an offensive lineman at the 5 spot, and so they took Jamar Chase. They ranked last in 2020 and are 25th coming into the 2021 season. And that is per PFF as well. Jay, how do you view this game going?
So I want to start by focusing on the Minnesota offense versus Cincinnati defense, and then I'll get into where I think the separation really happens when you look at the Vikings defense versus the Bengals offense. Now, when you look at the Vikings offense versus Cincinnati defense, the Bengals last year, they ranked 19th in pass yards per game, so that's fine. But they did finish last in sacks and 26th in pressure percentage. Now, they did do some things to try to fix that defense, right? Adding Chidobe Awuzie, Trey Waynes as the cornerback positions, and they also added Trey Hendrickson, who last year had 13.5 sacks and 12 tackles for loss. Trey Hendrickson could very well have a great year. What I would like to focus on with Trey Hendrickson is that he did have he had 13.5 sacks from 14, I guess 13.5. 11 of them came on cleanup or as an unblocked defender. Now, that's not problematic on its own, but when you look at what he's done the rest of his career, it becomes problematic. When you're an unblocked defender or you get a sack on cleanup, it's not like those skills are easily transferable. It's not like Von Miller when he came in and we're seeing him like with his rips or the shoulder dip down and getting around the defender. And these are repeatable things that we can consistently see him winning against all tackles at, right? These are plays where Trey Hendrickson was unblocked. He rushing the quarterback and no one's even touching him. Or someone else is rushing the quarterback, gets the initial pressure. Now we're in the scramble drill, and then he cleans it up. So that's a little worrisome for me. Like we kind of talked about with TJ Watt, the NFL pays for sacks. And when you have 14 sacks, you're going to get paid, kind of like Trey Hendrickson did. Now, like I said, the reason why this is problematic is when you look at the previous 3 seasons before that, he only had 6.5 sacks, and he only played 40% of the snaps. So the Bengals took a big risk here in signing Trey Hendrickson. I don't know if it's going to pay off. I don't see it paying off week 1, that's for sure. But anyway, so that's where I got there. The other thing is, if you can't get pressure on Kirk Cousins, he's usually pretty darn effective. He threw for 35 touchdowns last year, only 13 interceptions. A lot of those interceptions came off of pressure. It was like 60% were when he was pressured. And if you're not going to get pressure on him, then he's going to be okay. Obviously, he has 2 fantastic receiving talents with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen had 74 for 925, 14 touchdowns last year, which is kind of ridiculous. Justin Jefferson had 88 for 1,400 yards and 7 of those touchdowns. So this Cincinnati pass defense is a big question mark, especially going against, a team that's moderate passing in Minnesota. I mean, they're not an elite passing team by any stretch, but they're good enough to do some things against this secondary and against this defense in general. The bigger problem comes in the running game, where the Bengals D ranked last in yards per carry and allowed 5.1 yards per carry. They ranked 29th in yards per game rushing wise, allowing 148 yards per rush. And enter Dalvin Cook and an improved offensive line, who last year, Dalvin Cook had 1,577 yards, 16 touchdowns, and averaged 5 yards a carry. So when you look at it from the Bengals side, where are you really hanging your hat here? Are you stopping the run? Are you stopping the pass? You're not very good at stopping either of them. So good luck trying to stop one of them. Now, where I think this really gets interesting is this Bengals offensive line. This Bengals offensive line is not very good. They are bringing back left tackle Jonah Williams, and they did sign Riley Reif. The Vikings, though, to counteract that, are bringing back Everson Griffin, Danielle Hunter. They also signed Sheldon Richardson, Michael Pierce, and Dalvin Tomlinson those are really good rush defensive tackles who can also get after the quarterback. The secondary was a problem last year. They signed Patrick Peterson, Mackenzie Alexander, and Rashad Breeland. So there are some things that I think Minnesota did very well. I think Mike Zimmer really understood where his deficiencies were last year. Mike Zimmer is an excellent defensive coach. He's not a good defensive coach. He's an excellent defensive coach. In his 6 years with Minnesota, they never ranked under 11th in points per game allowed until last year. I have the feeling last year, kind of like with a lot of teams, not that it was a fluke, but COVID played a big factor. You lose a bunch of your guys that you really relied on who played a big role for your team, and all of a sudden it leaves big holes, and it allows for teams to come in and exploit those holes. So I really think this Minnesota defense is going to be much improved. I think adding back those defensive line players and being able to stack that defensive line, I think the war in the trenches is going to be won on both sides of the ball by Minnesota. And I think this line of -3, I mean, not to mention when you look at, the reports coming out of Cincinnati's camp, Joe Burrow didn't have the greatest preseason. We saw what Jamar Chase was doing in the preseason, and now with the sketchy offensive line, I mean, they're talking about Suafilo being a starting guard for them, which should not be happening in any stretch. So I think that this -3 line is something I'm really going to get behind. I'm almost positive I'm going to try to get some action on this -3 for Minnesota's side. Given everything I just said, I just think this is a really good spot for Minnesota to cover these 3 points.
Yeah, a lot of great reasons behind that. Minnesota definitely more improved than honestly I would have given them credit for. I had them finishing a little bit with a pretty poor record compared to all the improvements they've made. I guess I underestimated them a little bit. Cincinnati, I don't expect them to be too much of contenders in this upcoming season, but should be an exciting game. Kirk Cousins doesn't get a lot of respect, but Dalvin Cook is an excellent running back, and he'll be fun to watch, especially with the new offensive line, like you said, and the addition of Christian Darrisaw on that offensive line is going to help out a ton.
The biggest thing for Minnesota too, and for Kirk Cousins, it's not a primetime game. So fire him up, baby. Primetime game.
He's never won one, right?
Totally different.
He's like 0-14 in primetime games.
Oh yeah, something.
I don't think he's ever won one. I'm pretty sure he's like 0-14 in primetime games.
I mean, he's been terrible in them, so I can totally. It's not outrageous.
Poor Kirk Cousins. He threw 35 touchdowns last year. Let's give him his flowers at some point, huh? I'm totally kidding.
You like that?
I do like that. Joe Burrow is the GOAT. Okay, I'm just kidding, Ryan. He's not. But hopefully he's healthy this year. That's it. I don't like seeing injuries. We've seen enough injuries already for this entire year already, especially with just the Ravens. So hopefully that trend doesn't continue. All right. Well, hopefully you guys like that segment. I like it. I'm getting more and more into it. I'm getting educated on it. We're gonna have more fantasy stuff and more betting stuff coming on, especially in our Sunday morning roast. So make sure you guys are there for that. We'll have more segmented stuff regarding over-unders.
Baby.
Yeah, some daily fantasy. Jay is looking forward to that, really. Sunday can't come quick enough for Jay. I know I said Thursday can't come quick enough. Now Sunday can't come quick enough. You'll hear me say that a lot during the NFL season because that's what he looks forward to.
Very excited.
Yeah. But hopefully the main course filled you up. We're going to go and finish off with a dessert. We do something kind of fun for dessert. We actually saw this kind of this post that was saw this post on Twitter. We thought it was kind of intriguing. So the object of this one, ESPN gave this list with minimal salaries for particular players on the offensive side of the ball, starting with like Patrick Mahomes, Tyree, different position groups. So you get a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and a tight end. You have $12. I think we're going to get it on screen here in a second. You have $12, and you got to pick your offensive a quad or whatever. Let me see if I can get the
pick. You have $12, and you have to pick one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one tight end, and they range from $5 to $1. So I have it if you need me to pull it up.
Yeah, if you don't mind, buddy, you want to pull it up?
Yeah, you got it. And then Patrick Mahomes is on there, so go figure.
I will be picking him, especially because it's limited to 4 players.
So. You will, yeah. Okay, so here in the quarterbacks, you starting at $5, you get Patrick Mahomes at 5, Kyler Murray at 4, Baker Mayfield at 3, Justin Herbert at 2, Trevor Lawrence at 1. For the running backs, Christian McCaffrey is 5, Alvin Kamara 4, Jacobs, Taylor, Harris. Wide receivers, you have Adams, Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, Calvin Ridley, Devontae Smith. And then tight ends, you have Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, and Kyle Pitts. So Andrew, why don't you go ahead and you give yours? Why don't you do that? Why don't you give your 4 that you would give, and I'll give.
Oh,
mine.
I certainly can. I think this was pretty easy for me. I think I'm going to go with just terms of like value and like I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes. So that's $5 right there. So $5 off the board for Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to go ahead and take Jonathan Taylor for $2. I'm going to take Calvin Ridley for $2. And then I'm going to finish it off by taking, I wish I could afford Kittle or Kelsey, but I'll settle for Darren Waller, who's at back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons at the tight end position. And I'll take Darren Waller. So my 4 is going to be Patrick Mahomes, Jonathan Taylor, Calvin Ridley, and Darren Waller. I think that's pretty darn good. I'll be honest. I don't know how much better you can do this. I think you could probably get more value at quarterback, but I told Jay before we hopped on here, I'd be scared, like, not taking Pat in the situation. I think you could make do with other skill position players and to compensate the $5 you're spending, but that's just the way I'm going to go. So yeah, again, Mahomes, Taylor, Ridley, Waller. Where do you think you're going to go on this one, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I want Patrick Mahomes, and I would if I was doing this to not try to be different, I would pick Patrick Mahomes and then figure the hell else out and everything else. But when you look at this list, right? So I'm trying to figure out, okay, where's the value, right? At quarterback position, Baker Mayfield at $3 is too expensive. Get the hell out of here. Justin Herbert at $2. Anyone understanding what Justin Herbert did last year? Broke every rookie record with the worst rated offensive line by Pro Football Focus last year. The absolute worst at the end of the season. I think that's too cheap. So for me, I'm going to go Justin Herbert. And then I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor as well. I didn't want to copy you, but at $2, he's the cheapest. He's the one that can do a little bit of everything. I think Josh Jacobs should have switched with Jonathan Taylor. I would very much rather have Jonathan Taylor than Josh Jacobs. I don't know why that's a thing. So Jonathan Taylor. So I'm at $4 now. And then I think Trav is just outright unbelievable. That's where I'll spend my 5. I'll go Trav. And then my wide receiver, I'll go Justin Jefferson. So I'll go with Justin Herbert, Jonathan Taylor, Justin Jefferson, and Travis Kelce. So Andrews, let's go. Andrews. I just want to type it in chat here so I remember. Andrews got Mahomes.
I got it here rolling across the screen.
Oh, booyah. Oh, check you out, dude.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're muted, but yeah, check you out.
Yes, sir. Mahomes. So it's Mahomes, Taylor, Ridley, Waller, Johnny, Herbert, Taylor, Kelsey, and Jefferson. So we're getting the same running back. I think for $2 value, Jonathan Taylor is the way to go here. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what Najee Harris does. But $2 for Jonathan Taylor.
Ryan, really?
Where's Ryan going with this one? Let's see.
Baker, touchdown maker.
Mayfield, Harris, Adams, and Waller.
I don't hate it.
I actually don't. I like that. I mean, you're getting probably the best wide receiver in the league. You're getting the 3rd best tight end. I like you've talked about this. You like Najee a lot. He's projected to get the Le'Veon Bell role. Hopefully that comes to fruition and he gets a lot of touch. I mean, he can catch out of the backfield for a big back. So
yeah, that's what I was saying. Najee. So people don't understand. Najee was not catching like little stuff at Alabama. Najee is a legit like 3-down back, and he's huge. I mean, he's a big boy. So, I mean, give him the workload. By all means, go for it. I mean, I think you should probably, get an offensive line going before you decide to give that guy a workload like that. Their offensive line is cheeky.
What's up, Amanda? Tell the damn Dodgers to get it together already. Seriously, dude.
How did we lose those last 2 to the freaking Cardinals?
Road to St. Louis. I mean, it's egregious. Where's it? Where's the? Hold on. It's egregious, man. It's ridiculous.
It really is.
You gotta win these games, man.
We just activated Gavin Lux back. Interesting.
Oh well, that'll help. I mean, maybe.
Where's he gonna play?
I don't know. You might have to get Cody out of the lineup.
I mean, I'm just. Oh boy! Don't make Cassie cry now.
I mean, he's just. I can't really defend him anymore. He's just having a bad year. I just chalk it up. I think he's gonna be fine.
Well, 2 in a row. 2 in a row. I mean, he's unbelievable in the field.
He was unbelievable in the postseason last year. What are you talking about?
Well, in the regular season last year, it wasn't very good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's Ryan, but okay. I didn't want to say it. I love baseball. But when it comes, I'm locked in. Okay, I'm locked in when it comes. Okay, but it's football. Yeah. I don't understand the Dodgers, bro. The Dodgers are the worst team in terms of like mean run average I've ever seen. We'll go and we'll score like 15 runs and then 1, 2, 2, 1, and 12. I mean, can't we just score like 4 or 5 a game?
Yeah, Andrew Friedman's going to have like a plaque or a statue outside of Dodger Stadium at some point when he decides to stop being an executive in the MLB, because he has literally fleeced some National League teams in the last couple of years for whether it's be exciting prospects, stars. I mean, Max Scherzer and Trey Turner in the same trade deadline window on the last day of the trade deadline, and to see how impactful they've been. I mean, Scherzer hasn't lost a game since he came to the Dodgers. He had 13 Ks the other night. I mean, absolutely just been balling. Trey Turner's been good. He's been a little up and down lately, but he was amazing when he was. I think he was on a. Is his hitting streak still going? I think it was 14 games. I don't know if it stalled out or not.
I think he got up to like 15 and then it ended. But no, dude. But Trey Turner and Max Scherzer, you can argue since that trade was made, they've been the best players on the Dodgers.
He says the Angels are out of contention in mid-August. It's football season in September. Hey, I wish I could say that about the Dodgers, but we just been showing up in the postseason so much we can't.
Poor Ryan. So football season starts pretty early for you often, huh?
Hey, Amanda, if you're here, I don't know if you watch football, but try and if you see this on the screen, spend some money. Pick those people.
I mean,
you got $12 to spend.
And Amanda, if you don't watch football, we do a little like AJA tutorial, bro. We will help you learn football, because I think that's the biggest thing, right? Some people when they get intimidated by football or don't watch football because it's kind of confusing. There's downs. It's not like basketball where you just watch and you see the guy once the ball goes in the hoop, you score points. It's a little more difficult with football. But good. Oh no, yeah, we got to change that, Amanda. Oh, we got to change that.
Just watch the Chiefs.
Have you been adopted? Have you been adopted to a team without knowing? Like, does your pops say like, "Hey, you're this fan," whether you like it or not, or like a friend that you like, you kind of were just like, "Okay, now I'm this fan." You know what I'm saying? Because if not, Chiefs Kingdom.
We'd love to have you, Chiefs.
I mean,
come on.
You do have to fill out an application. It's a quick application. No membership fee, but you do have to fill out a little application. But, dude, Amanda, I'm not even joking. Let's go, dude. Let's go. We're all over it, dude. By all means. No!
That's the worst possible answer you could have given. No.
Hey, listen, Amanda. Definitely Chiefs. Then. But what's with Kansas City? We're like one of the best teams in the league, Amanda. I mean, Super Bowl 2 years in a row.
Maybe like the reasoning behind it. Okay, so here's the quick reasoning, because I don't think we've ever given it on the show 70 episodes or whatever. And so here's the reasoning. Pops, Big Dog Cassis, was a fan of Joe Montana, and he was a fan of the 49ers. Obviously living in California, he made the smart decision to not choose the Oakland Raiders, thankfully, because then we would have never become Chiefs fans. We would have been Raiders fans. But thankfully, he was a fan of the 49ers. When Joe Montana made his little move over onto Kansas City back in the 93 season, my dad just followed him. My dad's got a picture hanging up, framed jersey from the infamous The Catch. If you haven't seen that yet, Amanda, I would suggest looking up The Catch between Dwight Clark and Joe Montana, one of the most iconic football plays in all NFL history. But Joe Montana moved over to Kansas City in the 93 season, and my pops just stuck with him. And then we grew up watching Chiefs football, had a couple solid years, and then we really went downhill, and we stuck it out. And now we just we bask in the glory that is Patrick Mahomes, and we talk about it as much as we possibly can, and we won't stop talking until he's out of the league, and probably even further after that. Because
we've been eating crow since we were children, eating absolute crow. I mean, 4-12s were the norm. 2-14s. I mean, we were cheeky, very bad.
As bad as the Raiders are right now, the Chiefs were even worse for a decade stretch between 2004 and 2014.
The Raiders right now make the Chiefs look like JV. I mean, that's how bad we were. I mean, we were starting the likes of Brody Croyle. Okay. Very bad. We're very bad. So now we're very good, and we're just reciprocating. That's all we're doing. For as much as we used to get the garbage, we're just dishing it back now. That's all we're doing. Balance, scales, even them.
I think it's fair what we do. We don't show our bias all the time. We like to. It's football season, so we're getting a little excited, but it'll calm down a little bit. But yeah, that's the main reason. We just kind of stuck it out with the Chiefs. It's been a fun ride to be a Chiefs fan, and it'll continue to be a fun ride. But thanks for tuning in. Sorry,
the meme where it's like to this day.
Oh, yeah,
That's like us with the Chiefs. To the day.
I'll make a TikTok like like with this Deontay Wilder, I think it is like
Yeah.
To this day. Yeah. My dad's a Cal alumni, so he follows the quarterback for the Raiders. A Cal alumni following the quarterback for the Raiders who was from Fresno State. That's interesting. I'm surprised he's not following Aaron Rodgers, who plays for the Packers, because he was a quarterback from Cal. The world is weird right now. The Chiefs and Bucks are good. But that's as far as I don't understand the rules at all. Honestly, it took me a while to understand the rule. I just used to watch for just pure enjoyment. And I mean, there wasn't a lot of it to go around as the Chiefs fan until as of late. So now I watch for both to break it down and, and to also enjoy. But yeah, the world is weird. The Bucks and the Chiefs are good. The Bucks obviously were last prominent back in the early 2000s. But anyway, that's enough about all this past history and stuff. We've been at it for about an hour, guys. We're gonna probably call it here. We thank you guys so much, Ryan and Amanda, for showing up. Sorry we're dipping out right when you got here, Amanda. But if you want to watch some football, there's gonna be 13 games on Sunday. There's gonna be one on Monday. Try and tune in. We'll have a show Sunday morning for you guys if you want to check it out from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Until then, guys.
Please check it out. We'll be doing.
I'm sorry.
We'll be doing. It's gonna it posts right after, Amanda. So just watch it right after, and then
watch it.
We'll even comment with you. You know what I'm saying? If you go back on there in the comments, we'll comment back.
We'll stick around. But thank you, Amanda. Have a great day. Have a good weekend. Real quick, guys. Let me just let me throw this up here again. Twitter and Instagram's at AJA Sports Show. You're not a morning person. We'll get some coffee, Amanda, and then we like to start our mornings on Sundays with coffee and donuts. I know that seems kind of cliche, but we do it anyway. Who cares?
We'll hook you up with them, Amanda. Get you up.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks, guys. Signing home at 44. Let's go. Oh boy. Hey, I'm trying to get Vlad to get the Triple Crown, man. And not a coffee person.
Okay, teas.
Okay.
She likes teas.
Maybe a tea
is
good.
And I can tell. Hey, we can
good.
tell you're not a morning person. Some of your streams, we when we watch your streams, holy snot, you're up late. You're up in the wee hours sometimes.
I've never played any of the games that you play, but they look exciting. I played those role playing games scare the snot out of me. Like
exactly.
I did like a VR one and I forgot. I don't even know what it was called, but it was like one where you're like in this house and you had to like find your way out of the house, and then like at the end of it, like Norman Reedus is like there like as like a cameo or something for like a new game, and I absolutely got the dickens scared out of me, and I didn't want to play ever again. So those games scare the snot out of me, but I'm glad you have fun playing them. But again, thanks again for sticking around, guys. We really appreciate it. Football, baby. That's all we can say. But until next time, guys, that's us. I'm Andrew. That's Jay. Thanks again. We'll see you guys next time. Bye. Oh yeah, dope. I was gonna go to one a couple months ago, but it ended up being closed. But that'll be